dreamers, and welcome back to PERLA'S DREAMS. Sagittarius Capricorn Cusp. This is your reading. Quick reminder, these are just general readings, so please take whatever resonates and leave the rest. The intention is always set for these readings to help with your own evolution and inner growth. So you guys are in this space during this time, during this beautiful time, and I'm picking up, and I really don't like saying numbers, but I'm picking up like this 21-day time frame of this energy, like this 21-day time frame. So it may be that by the time you listen to this, you're still going through like the last video, you're like coming out of it before you actually jump into this energy, because there is this very much like sit up straight, a focus. Are you grounded? Make sure that you're breathing, and do not dare look back. Do not dare look back. I feel there are things from your past that are trying to, there are things behind you, right? So when we look back, we're looking behind us, right? And we're using this, we're using our energy, right, to focus our attention as to what was behind us. And it's like Spirit is telling you that there's nothing for you to look at behind you. Spirit wants you to stay very much focused and very much grounded as to what it is that you're moving into. There is this sense of like whatever is behind you has passed. It has served its purpose. Now, for those of you that this involves somebody from your past, or I want to say there's an energy from your past that is trying to come through. From some of you, this is going to be an energy that is going to manifest itself through an ex. For others of you, this is an opportunity of going back to like an old job or something of that matter. And Spirit is telling you, no, there's nothing there. There's nothing new there. There's nothing more for you to learn within that space. And the reason why this is very important during this time is because it's going to come with a lot of temptation. Now, I can give examples on both. There were times where when I was working, like I used to work overnights, I switched to days, excuse me. And I want to say like 6 months into working days, there was an offer from like my old place with more money so that I could return. But I knew that I had whatever I had to learn in that space, the time for that had passed, right? And where I was at that moment was where I needed to be, because there were things that I needed to learn within that particular practice, right? And the same things like with when exes come back around, it's like you really have to evaluate, like, okay, if you're going back to somebody that you dealt with in the past, is there still something there that you're needing to learn? Because I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, never go back to an ex. I've gone back to exes because I, at a deeper level, knew there were things that I still needed to learn. And there was this feeling within me that our contract, right, between me and this person was not over. And then I've had exes that I've never looked twice at, right? So every situation, every experience is different and it's unique. Now, what is coming through for you guys at this moment in time is the fact that whatever is resurfacing, it is a space where there is nothing left for you to learn. So Spirit is being very adamant that during this time, you continue to look forward towards the future. You continue to look forward to what is currently in front of you. Don't worry so much about what's happening over here behind you. Let that energy stay. Let that, that energy is going to fizzle away. That energy is going to eventually realize that the dance between you and it is completely over. Is completely over. And it is okay. And I feel like some of you need to hear this, especially if this has something to do with like an opportunity, like of an old job coming around. And again, there seems to be this underlying space of temptation with whatever is coming back. But Spirit is telling you, remember, if you want to look at the past, right? Let's look at it from this point of view. Remember what it felt like being in that position. Remember the stressful time that you experienced within that relationship, within that job. Remember how you couldn't wait to get out of it. Remember how you felt like you were drowning. Remember, like, just remember, but do not go back. And in order to remember, you don't have to go back. Okay? Alrighty, let's see. I do see, no, let me stop. I do see the space where a lot of you are, again, it is going to be challenging because some of you are, it's almost, okay. How are we going to say this? Because I'm getting cold. I need to grab a sweater. I had one there. Where did I put it? I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking for something that I had literally hanging next to me, and I must have moved it. Anyways, there seems to be this sense of some of you are wanting to hear the offer, and some of you feel that and for some of you, this within itself is all that it is, right? Listening to an offer and not being tempted by it and being able to walk away from it. That is something that for some of you, this is what your soul, your spirit needs during this time. For others of you, those of you that are not there in that space yet, you don't even want to listen to the offer. So you are avoiding it. And regardless of where you are at, just know, because I feel like you guys need this confirmation, just know that how you're choosing to handle this situation is how you are meant to handle it at the time. Regardless of which of the two you fall into, there is this healing process that is happening. For those of you that are choosing to have like no contact, no anything with this person or this job or whatever it is, there is this you healing this space within yourself where you didn't stick up for your boundaries, when you didn't have boundaries, right? Where you didn't when you didn't use your voice, let's put it that way. And for those of you that are listening to an offer and then are declining it, you're working through the space of temptation. Temptation may have been something that you may have been battling with for a very long time. Like, you get easily tempted to drink, you get easily tempted to smoke, you get easily tempted to try different drugs, you get into like tempted when it comes like sexually or whatever it is. There is some type of like temptation battle that you have always dealt with, that with listening to this offer and being able to decline it from a space of your truth, right? Your authentic self, from a place of knowing that there is literally nothing that temporary high, right, of saying yes to something, or that temporary illusion of saying yes to something is going to bring in, that is going to be long lasting. So you're walking away from this knowing that high is that high that you would have by saying yeah, and all of these illusion of what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, it's just temporarily. And that is not what you are, and like, that is not what your spirit is seeking for any longer. You are wanting longer lasting connections, longer lasting things that come into your life. You want, you want to go, you want to work or be in a career that is going to be long lasting, not something that you're going to be thinking they're like, okay, is it time to go home, right? And then that's kind of like where this energy for you guys is kind of split. So kind of like really analyze where it is that you are at. And if you're having a hard time, I always say, take a moment, take a seat, take a breath, and listen. Because Spirit is continuously connecting, continuously talking, continuously guiding. The problem is that a lot of the times we have all of this outside of ourselves, all of this chatter, all of these distractions that really do not allow us to really listen and to really come into a place where we are like in a position to allow the information to come through, to allow ourselves to process the information, so that then we can make a decision based on the information that came through. Whatever your emotions are like, high, either too high or too low, kind of like all over the place, when it's not neutralized, it makes it very hard. It's almost kind of like the information that it's like, all right, so this is a simple example. Imagine that you're driving down the road and you have somebody in the car with you and you have the GPS on, right? And it's like, if it's like completely silent in the car, right? And you're just listening to the GPS, it almost kind of like becomes like this uncomfortable energy of like, whoa, we feel disconnected or something like that. And then you have this time where like you guys are like chit chattering, then you start to miss the prompts from the GPS, right? So one extreme to the next is kind of like leaving you unsatisfied or disconnected. But when you find that rhythm, right, where you guys can talk, and when the GPS comes on, you guys are able to pause, then it becomes this beautiful dance between you, like having this conversation with the person, but also listening to the prompts and the GPS, like this balance. And that's kind of like what is trying to be worked on in you during this time, or what is being worked on in you during this time. So it is tied to something from the past. It is tied to this offer from the past that is coming in. So I just kind of want you guys to be aware of how it is that is coming in and why it is that is coming in. Alrighty, guys, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pull out an oracle card. We're using the Medicine Heart Oracle deck. This is a deck that was recently gifted to me by a very lovely special client. So we are going to use this deck, and we're going to pull out one card for Sagittarius Capricorn Cusp. Give me one card to close out this reading, Spirit. Give me one card to close out this reading. So we have the number 19, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm seeing it upside down. The Lu. Look how beautiful. Look, I'm going to bring it up close so you guys can see it. You guys can see it. I'm going to put it right here. You guys can see it as I'm reading the book. All right. The soul journey is a spiritual long game. Though there will be spontaneous bursts of swift progress and rapid healing, recovering and rising through any difficulties, you are also building a long-lasting legacy of sacred beauty. You are a soul making. Value the process and value yourself enough to set boundaries with yourself and others. Such a precious undertaking requires patience for the process, tending and time. Contentment in the quality of the journey helps sustain and inspire you for the considerable task and of generating your most sacred legacy. So again, there is this process that you guys are undergoing, this process that you guys are in the midst of boundaries, and this energy that is trying to tempt you during this time is something that you guys have to face, and guys have to work through it, or grow through it, like I like to say. So for those of you that are in a committed relationship and the temptation is like usually stepping outside of a marriage, right? Outside of a commitment, be very mindful of going back into those old patterns, because I feel that this may be somebody that you're dealing with, knows exactly how this temptation starts to creep in. right? And how they're like either you or them, whatever, is unable to control themselves. And it's like we have to, as much as we dislike the word discipline, we have to learn to be disciplined with ourselves. We have to know what our own boundaries are, what our own values are, and be disciplined to stand by them, regardless of whatever it is that is coming around, regardless of whatever it is that we are being tempted with. Oh, excuse me. As always, guys, thank you for all your love and support. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't done so, I encourage you to do so. We would love to have you. Sending every single one of you love, strength, and blessing, guys. Take care. Love you all. Bye-bye.